Welcome to the Geek Easy. Sit back, grab a libation of your choice, and relax, 'cause it's time to do some geek stuff in the Geek Easy. Welcome to the Geek Easy, fellow geeks. Grab a beverage of your choice, because today I will be reviewing Pulp, the Proccess edition. Written by Ed Brubaker, drawn by Sean Phillips, and published by Image Comics. It is a $39.99 price point. Now, with this book, not only does it have the story in it, but, as it says, this is the Proccess edition, which is kind of cool. It starts out with a little bit of an introduction, but they go through the whole process, hence the title. So you have writing, and they talk about the writing. You can see he writes about it, then he shows little pictures of his process of writing. And, I mean, just every little thing. Cover. Doing the whole different things, and then the whole process of doing the cover. And, I mean, there's a little trailer that they do. And one of the cool things they have in here is they actually show how they break down, so they show the script, and then they show how each part is inked out. This is what it looks like when it's first drawn, and then boom, and then they ink it up, and then they just everything, and it is so interesting. I haven't read this first part, the whole process part yet. I will go back into that at some point, because I am interested in trying to write something like this. I mean, not the process, but I want to try and maybe get a couple of my stories converted into a comic or something. But that is really, a really cool piece of information to have. I mean, this covers every inch of the book, every part of the book, and you get it before you read the story. So, I suggest you read the story first, because you don't want, and then, it shows the colors there. You don't want, you might not want the spoilers. So then you get to, it says, the finished book. And the last few pages are of the book. So, what you have here is, there is a character. What is his name? Well, it starts out with, let me get to the right pages here. This is New York City, 1939. And starts out with a couple of people doing a little, showdown in the Old West. Like you've seen in plenty of Western movies. Insert Western movie here, you're going to probably have, a shootout at high noon, and, the good guy and the bad guy, yada, yada, yada. And it's being narrated by the guy in the red. And it's about him and his friend. And they go, and it turns out that it is being written by this man here in the black jacket. He writes for the Pulp magazines back in the 30s about for Six Shot magazine or something like that. What they do the Pulps, and he gets like they did back in the day. He got paid per word, and so when he's doing this one, his editor is sitting there saying, "Okay, now things are getting kind of tight. There's too much competition. You're only getting 2 cents a word now, which I guess is a cut from what he was getting, and he's only gets like $100 something dollars." And one thing I've noticed, where you have stuff written by Ed Brubaker, there's been a couple stories where he's dealt with a writer. This one and The Bad Weekend or something like that. Maybe one other one. You're always talking about how those guys get fucked over by the publishing companies, and this is kind of one of them. Just a small side note. But so he's kind of pissed because he's not getting the money that he needs. It's the 30s, so it's the Depression. War is about to break out in a couple of years, at least here in America. So he's really trying to stay afloat by doing this stuff, and you're learning about his past because things are going back and forth. The stories he's writing in the pulp magazines aren't stories; they're kind of semi-fictionalized stories of his life. So he actually was a kind of a, I don't want to say a robber back in the day, but it was him and his friends. They were forced off their land by some land barons, and that led him into going into robbing people for a living because they didn't have any other choice. And then it leads to him being an old man where he's writing about this stuff. And an event that causes him to accept a deal from a former Pinkerton man. Pinkerton, back in the day, was a security company. I think it was started, if I remember correctly, by Ulysses S. Grant before he became vice president and then president. Don't hold me to that, but I'm pretty sure it was them. But they were a security company, and they'd go after bad guys. So this guy was one of the people that went after him, and he recognized the stories that he was writing as, wait, this isn't a very big delineation from what really happened. So he put 2 and 2 together, figured this guy out, who he really was, and said, okay, let's do this. And then the rest of the story is about what goes on. That's one of the things with Ed Brubaker. You get what would be a really simple story. Or what you'd think was a simple story or a simple event. Okay, so this guy writes for the pulps. He's trying to make some money for him and his much younger wife. They're having financial problems. Then they always go kind of sideways, but not in the direction that you think. I have never read a story of his where you can figure out, or at least I can't, and I'm usually pretty good at that type of stuff, can't figure out where he's going to go with this, how it's going to end. Because if you read a lot of the other types of stories and comics and, short stories or whatever, there's certain beats, and then, okay, so this is going to happen, this is going to happen. And you read them enough, you recognize how it's going to work out. And then there's this ending or that ending. So you can figure out after a while how it's going to work. Not with him. And that's one of the things I really love about his work, because it is just so fun. He's one of my he's one of my favorite writers, long up there with Dan Schafer for comics. And I really recommend this book. I'm trying to get all of his stuff, all of his kind of non-superhero stuff, because I know he did a big run on Daredevil and a big run on Captain America, and actually wound up is the guy that came up with the Winter Soldier. Because I'm not a really big Captain America fan. I have read some Daredevil, but I've heard that stuff is really good too. But I'm trying to get all of his the rest of his stuff, and I'll probably wind up getting omnibuses for the Daredevil, because I do have a couple of the trades for Captain America back there, just because I've got them cheap. Haven't read them yet, but yeah, this I do recommend this, especially if you enjoy good writing, and even more so if you want to learn how to, go about the process of how to write it, how to break it down, how to have the steps to take on how to get it written, and everything by someone who is an award-winning team. So I'm going to give this a 4.75 out of 5 and just say pick it up, because it is typical Brubaker and you will enjoy it. Anyway, let me know in the comments below what you thought of it, if you've read it, if you're going to get it, and like, subscribe, and most of all, enjoy your comic.